Hey everyone, welcome back to the Tea Diaries. Thank you so much for being here and joining this week. This month, we are featuring another amazing visionary voice who has been making a great impact throughout her own community over there in Toronto, Canada. And yeah, I just want to tell you a little bit about her before we jump into the little interview. So, Amanda Shekarchi is a singer-songwriter who is based out in Toronto, Canada. She has perfect pitch. Okay, that is amazing. I love that for you. Amanda is also passionate about radio and podcasting. We love it. We love it. Amanda released an audio documentary with CBC Radio called Playing by Ear. It tells the stories of blind and low vision musicians. I absolutely love that. So please welcome to the podcast today, my friend, Amanda Shekarchi.
Thank you so much for having me, Gabby. Excited to be here.
I'm super excited to have you here. I mean, we've been friends for like how long? It's probably been like almost a year now.
Yeah, literally, like since 911 season 7 came out.
Yes. So it's been super cool getting to know you. And today I just have a few questions I want to go through with you and let other people get to know how amazing you are because she's literally like we always joke that we're twins because we love the same things, we're into the same type of music. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Like to the degree where like our birthdays are even in the same month too.
I know.
We're
It's
both
it's really
those
funny.
Aries girls trying to be persistent and make things happen.
Yes, so true. So if you're ready, we're gonna dive into the first question, Amanda.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. What has your journey been like in media? Seeing that you are super heavily involved with media, especially out in Canada, and has there been any difficulties throughout this journey?
When I was really little, I always used to tell stories through music. So when I was 5.5, I learned to play piano. I had like my first piano lesson, and later on, I had vocal lessons. I was the theater kid participating in every school musical there was. And when I was 13, I wrote this song called Without No Doubt. And we released it to YouTube in 2014 and to other platforms too, and it got a lot of buzz. And I was able to do a bunch of interviews with like Global TV, which is like a major TV channel here in Toronto. And we also went to LA and did some stuff there. And I really enjoyed that chapter of my life, but I also wanted to see what else was out there for me. And so in university, I at first was a psychology major because I didn't know about our media production program. But once I did, I applied, and the year I got in, I fell in love with it. Radio, podcasting, multi-camera studios,
Yes.
film classes, like whatever you wanted to do in media, they had that opportunity. But unfortunately, I got hit with a huge blow. Like everyone, the COVID-19 pandemic was definitely, a little bit of a setback because I went from hands-on classes to having to be on Zoom. And as hard as it was, music was definitely something that helped me through because I would listen to audiobooks and write a lot of songs based on those. But then I also found professors who were really passionate about their courses and really showed us that there is a way to make really great content and write from our bedrooms. So yeah, I ended up getting to make my first like podcast about audiobooks. And yeah, even though that time was a bit difficult, it really taught me a lot about myself. And then getting back into things and graduating. And in my final year, I got to intern with CBC. And I worked on their show Day Six as a chase producer for a while. And I produced a small story for them about why eye cream is more expensive than facial moisturizers. From there, I did an apprenticeship with this amazing company, Accessible Media Incorporated. They hire a lot of disabled creators to help with content creation, both behind the camera and on air. So I helped with like pitching a new show for their station, but I also got to work on their live entertainment or their live broadcast, which basically talks about news, sports, like it's a like morning talk show, but like through a disability angle, which is cool. So I got to hop on and do their entertainment reports, which was fun. And yeah, as Gabby mentioned, I did the CBC documentary Playing by Ear, which I know you'll touch on in this conversation later, so I won't say too much about it now, but essentially it spotlights blind and low vision musicians and how to find success in music. And while I'm figuring out this next chapter, I'm doing something that both Gabby, you and I is very close to us, is
Hmm.
volunteering at our campus community radio station.
Yeah. No, I love that you have found such a major passion for this and just like how much fun it is because that's something we both relate on. Like there's so many different things. Every time we get on a call, we always find something else that we have in common. And similar to your, journey beginning with all of this, like for me, when I first started getting involved with radio, like that's when the pandemic immediately hit and I was like, well, dang it, what am I going to do? And so that's when this podcast actually started, and the episode isn't on here, but it is the first ever episode I made talking about, self-care. So I love that like we were both in a very difficult period of time, but also we were able to kind of like tap into that creativity in different ways with people that obviously helped along with that journey. So I really do love that, even though it was difficult, you were still able to obviously persevere and get through those difficult times.
Yes, for sure. And I think what you said right there is so important about, finding those mentors. And, for me during the pandemic, that was this professor that I worked with. And she
Hmm.
really helped me, get a new insight on, the industry and how, things may look different, but there's a way to adapt. So I think that's really special, just finding those few people in your circle that you can rely on for advice.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Um, and I know, just like me, you also have such a big love for music. So what would you say are some of your favorite genres if you had to choose?
Yeah, so when I was younger, this would be one answer. Pop, 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 and more pop. But now I've kind of ventured out into a bunch of different genres. I love R&B as well. Sometimes I dabble in a little bit of country, fun to listen to, a little bit of rap. Like I'm kind of everywhere. Which is great because it really helps you become a more diverse artist. Because I was literally just talking about this with my friend about the new Sabrina Carpenter album. That, yes,
Hmm.
it's a pop album, but she also ventures into things like country and the way she writes her pop songs. She, for example, in Please, 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 you have the key change in the bridge. Like, she's taking pop to the next level. And that's what I think is great about pop music is that, sometimes there's this conception that pop is basic. It's four chords, it's cheesy
Right.
lyrics about a bar or a party or a relationship. But,
Yeah, that's so
there are a
true.
lot of deep pop lyrics that really, resonate and tell stories. Like you have people like Olivia Rodrigo or Billie Eilish who are pouring their guts into pop songs.
I love that you said guts because, Olivia Rodrigo guts.
Yeah,
That's so funny. That's
totally.
awesome. I love that you are super diverse with like your music taste. That's just, another amazing thing about the two of us is that we relate to that. Because similar to me, like I would always say pop as well. So I love that, you kind of ventured out into other things. Um, and so like when would you say you actually developed a passion and a love for music?
I think it was fostered in me in such a young age. Like
Mm-hmm.
literally, like my parents would always say, "You always were surrounded by music," because they used to play like Beethoven videos for me or Mozart. So definitely, starting learning the classical realm and then finding my own taste in pop and artists like Ed Sheeran, Shawn Mendes. Taylor Swift was a big influence early on. Like
Mm-hmm.
her breakup songs, and I never been in a relationship in middle school. Like that's what
Right.
inspired my first single, without no doubt, because I heard her writing about relationships. So I was like, what if I take a crack at it and write about a relationship that maybe deserves a second chance?
I really, really love that. That is amazing that, your parents gave you that outlet at such a young age and introduced you to music, and that obviously it was something that was such a huge foundation for you growing up and, is obviously still a major part of your life. So that's really amazing to hear.
Thank you. I was just gonna say, yeah, like music, I think will always be such a huge part of what I do.
Yeah, for sure. So, as we mentioned earlier, Amanda did a audio documentary called Playing by Ear, and I would love for you to kind of talk about that and share what that was like and your overall experience with that.
It was such an incredible experience. I got to collaborate with a wonderful producer, Eric Van, and coming into this, I knew I wanted to create something that I'm passionate about. And, being the huge music junkie that I am,
Hmm.
I was like, what if we tell stories like from other blind musicians? Because not only can I relate to them through a music level, but also, as someone who is blind myself, I have that unique perspective of the music industry. So we had voices like Lachi, who is the co-founder of Ramped, recording artists and music professionals with disabilities. And her foundation works with, along with the Grammys, the Recording Academy, to find ways to make the Grammys more accessible. You also have voices like Matt Mack, who is an indigenous rapper and putting out amazing music. He recently had an album out, All Eyes on Us, which I am loving. Yeah, so just to be able to be in that process and to say that I was able to tell these stories and just the responses that I got, it was super rewarding because I really just want to educate both blind and sighted and anyone who's interested about the industry, because there's a bit for everyone, because we also talk about the business side of the industry and what does it actually take to do well on streaming services too.
That's really amazing, Amanda, because this is so crucial, right? Like you and I talk all the time about showing people that we're more than just our blindness, that we have so much more to offer and bring to the table. So I love that you were able to have this experience and that it obviously you walked away with from it with so much. And so, I would also like to know like what is aside from everything you've mentioned, what is something else that you feel you took away from that experience that you now are like, yes, I'm going to carry this with me for the rest of my life?
What I've really learned from this experience is, first of all, the collaboration that was harbored through this experience. So working with a producer like Eric, who really was able to take my vision and really help me tell this story in a compelling and informative way. So that was really huge for me. But also the idea that I learned from the people I interviewed, because yes, I knew a lot about music, but hearing their perspectives of what it's really like, both the good and the challenges, really made me even more persistent to be like, music is what I want to do. I hear how personal and how rewarding this industry is. So it's definitely something after this documentary that I'm like, I want to take more seriously.
That's amazing. And I've heard you sing before and you sound phenomenal. You really are like really great at it. And, you play the piano, obviously. So like that's all super, super fun. And I'm super excited to just see where your journey takes you as your friend, as another, connection for you. Like it's amazing things that you've been doing.
Thank you so much, Gabby. It's been really fun. And, another cool thing I got to do was, so through our radio station. So I graduated from Toronto Metropolitan University, formerly known as Ryerson University, and I've been volunteering at their station since end of January. But I got to cover really cool events like Canadian Music Week and North by Northeast Music Festival, which both these events support a lot of local emerging artists,
Mhm.
both like from Toronto, but like throughout Canada as well. And being in those spaces and hearing these artists perform made me realize like I want to be up there and I want to take my music more seriously. So that was just a really cool time of my life because I got to go to free concerts for like 2 weeks
Yeah.
in a row.
Who doesn't love free concerts? What? That's super awesome.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of soundtracks that you love or any that are kind of like upcoming soundtracks that you're really looking forward to or excited to hear?
So one of my favorite soundtracks of all times is the soundtrack for the Vampire Diaries because really set the world and through like there's so many iconic scenes that like I'll just name a song and like my sister who's watching it for the first time, she'll be like, "Yeah, you're talking about this scene." But upcoming, I am super hyped. So 911 season 8
Yes.
comes out this fall and their soundtrack is also phenomenal. You had songs like Ed Sheeran's Photograph or Demi Lovato's Skyscraper or Rise Up, and all at crucial moments. But then you also, had soundtracks that were great for the more levity moments of the show, like that one scene where Buck is on the bicycle and you have the
Yes.
bicycle. So yeah, I know as a 911 fan too, Gabby, because that's essentially
Mm-hmm.
how we met.
Yeah,
That's something I'm super looking forward to.
same. I'm excited to see where they take it this next
Oh yeah, the
season.
song
That's
it
gonna
was
be really cool.
Bicycle Race. That's I think what
Oh
it's
yeah, yeah,
called.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
remember that scene too. That was really, really crazy.
Yeah, or the one where they got I think it was about damn time. One of the hen and was it I think during her one of the scenes, I think it was the her and Buck taking the shots, but I could be
Oh
messing
yeah,
that up. But
that's
yeah,
really
really
cool.
fire soundtrack for our firefighters.
Yes. No, we love 911 over here.
Yeah, like that's literally how we met because like our mutual friends were like, "Hey, we're all watching 911 on Zoom. Do you want to join?" And I'm like, "Heck yeah." And they're like, "Well, our friend who's watching with us, you guys are really going to get along." And then we got on the call and then I remember you and I just dominating the call for the first few minutes.
Yeah, we really did. Like, I want us to talk about like our kind of connection and how we became friends for a second before I kind of go forward with the questions. Like Amanda said, so our mutual friend, so my friend Chelsea and Jessica, who are also, Amanda's friends, Chelsea just constantly kept telling me, you need to meet Amanda. Like, I need the two of you to connect, and I want you two to like get to know each other because you're literally like the same person, except just on different parts of the world and stuff. And so I was like, okay, cool, no problem. And then one night, like usually because me, Jess, and Chelsea, like we would watch 911 every single week together. Like that was like our ritual. It still is. And one night, like I guess Amanda was like, "Oh my gosh, like I would love to watch it with you guys." And so, then we got on the call, and Chelsea and Jess were like, "Oh my gosh, this is Amanda, this is Gabby," and they weren't wrong when they said that we would totally get along because, like I said, there's always something that we connect on. And always something that we're like, oh, we should do a collab on this, or we should talk about this on like a video or something. So I really love that they were able to kind of put those dots together and be like, yeah, they would be good friends.
Me too, because not only are we connecting about the big things like radio, music, podcasting, accessibility, but we even connect on a smaller level, like the fact that we're both Aries and we both love a good cup of peppermint tea.
Yes, I actually didn't have any this morning. Shocker.
I had Earl Grey this morning.
Ooh, okay. I love that.
Yeah. Mm.
So, Amanda, I know you mentioned Olivia Rodrigo and Ed Sheeran, but who are some of your other favorite artists?
I really, really like Shawn Mendes too, and I want to shout out, a bunch of emerging artists as well, because when working at the
Yes.
station and going to these events, there's a lot of amazing talent. Like a good friend of mine, Christina Kennedy, and then you also have artists like Chloe Caroline, who put a fantastic EP out called The Awakening Volume 2, the prequel, which is basically a concept album talking about earlier feelings she had early in life, like manifestations, relationships, situationships, and all that good stuff. So I've been digging her a lot. I've been digging Merv Gotti, who is also a fantastic Canadian talent who he's actually someone I got to interview, and so is Chloe Caroline. But yeah, we both of these artists just very genuine and really talented singer-songwriters.
You definitely got to send me some of their music because I love listening to up and coming artists. I really love supporting them and their journeys.
Yeah, I definitely will. It's like really, it's amazing like how much talent is out there. And yeah, all these artists I've been having on repeat throughout the summer.
That's awesome. I love when you find an artist and you're like this happened to me this summer too, where I found this artist and it's like a new artist to you, but maybe other people have heard of them. And like I love when you just find that artist, you're like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
where were you before? Why was I never able to find music like this before?
100%. Also, Claro's album Charm is a fantastic summer, like late summer, early fall vibe. I've been playing that a lot
Ooh.
on our station. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely need to hear those. Is there someone or a few people that you look up to in the media world or music world that has been a role model or mentor for you in your own personal life?
Definitely. So, someone who has really been so supportive is Dave Brown, who is the host of Now with Dave Brown on AMI TV, Accessible Media Incorporated. So, that's the company I got to do the live entertainment reports and still do all the time. And he is also a fellow he's legally blind. And I learned so much from him just watching him on call every morning and the way that he is so warm with all the guests, both on screen and off, and just how he is so natural and outgoing on air was really great to see, really helped me kind of warm up for my segments. And from time to time, he always just really gives me incredible advice about the industry, about my scripting, about my performance. And, I'm so lucky to have him as a mentor. And I actually like workshopped the CBC, the playing by ear idea with him. And he really helped me shape it to what it became. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I really appreciate him. But then someone I've been listening to a lot on the radio, um, so we have this show on CBC called Q with Tom Powers, and our host, like the host Tom Powers, is also a really genuine person. I met him a couple of times, and I just love the conversations that he has with artists. So I think those definitely like people that I've looked up to a lot. Yeah.
That's amazing. That really, really is amazing. And I'm so glad that, there's people obviously that have been super helpful and informative and resourceful for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I also want to shout out the crew at the station I'm volunteering at because they all want to make the space really, really accessible. And I worked with our tech director, like, it's an ongoing thing where we've put braille labels on all the entrances, on the mixing console. And, she really wanted to make it so that when the next blind person walks in the space, they'll be able to navigate the station. And I was very honored to be a part of that and to help, make the space what it is.
Yes, I just love that like accessibility is such a huge part of what they want to, make sure that they focus on. And that's like another thing that we share is that we both worked with, or, like for me, I worked with people at the station for my school to make their space accessible, and you're doing the same thing. And I think having those ongoing conversations and finding people that are actually genuinely interested in making your space accessible, their space accessible, and also, open-minded to the ideas of accessibility and knowing that there's not just one way to develop anything or create a space. So I love that you're heavily involved with that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's definitely a really important part of what I do. And, it's interesting. It's been nice to kind of take another side of things and, be able to, be creative in that way and figure out what the best way is to make everything like space design, like, that's never really something that I've had, experience with before. So to actually be able to kind of input based on the spaces I've seen has been super cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, seeing that you are involved with so many amazing things, would you ever consider creating content for social media?
Definitely. So I sometimes from time to time I'll do like Facebook posts or get someone to help me with Instagram stories. So it's definitely something I want to work more on and then find a team that can help with the more, visual aspects of these platforms. So
For
if it's
sure.
having someone film a video or put together a reel, and I got a little bit of a taste with that when I worked with our social media coordinator at the station, where I'd send her like I'd go to these events and I'd have my assistants cover like take pictures or videos of the highlight moments, and I would share that with our coordinator. So I'm really good at like directing people when it comes to the visual. So I
Mhm.
definitely want to have, a core team of people so I can explore the medium of social media a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. I second that. I agree with you because, there's so many visual aspects to it. So I think having a team, like that's something I hope to develop as well, is just having a team of people that are able to say, hey, I see your vision and I know what you want to achieve, and then take that and make your videos or your content more aesthetic, in the visual aspect of
Mhm.
it.
I love that for sure.
Being a young woman who is also a fellow blindie, what has been an overall challenge throughout your journeys or process, music or media?
I would say, there's a lot of, learning curves and working with people to figure it out together. Because, as we just talked about, sometimes media can be a visual space or a visual medium. So finding ways for me to tell my story in a way that's accessible for me while still getting a chance to do some of this, getting to have the same type of projects as my peers. So like I took a digital media class, and one of the assignments was we had to take an album that we liked and recreate the album cover in a way that we would interpret it. So, instead of me using, stuff like Photoshop or After Effects, I did it as a tactile album cover with braille and with tactile stickers and, being able to have the fun of that assignment, but in a way that I'm able to tell the story.
Oh, that's super awesome. What? A tactile album cover is really
Yeah, it
cool
was
to think
so
about.
fun. And then we also did movie trailers. So I did mine to Molly Burke's memoir, It's Not What It Looks Like. And I
Hmm.
did, instead of a visual trailer, again, well, we had visuals in it where I had, my assistant, play with colors and, representing things that way. But the main way of understanding the trailer was through the audio, which basically showcases in 10 seconds the different parts of Molly's life and the transitions and challenges that she had to face being, a blind YouTuber and motivational speaker and what that was like for her growing up.
Hmm. Definitely. Would you ever want to create a podcast? If so, what would be one or two topics that you would focus on?
I've always been wanting to create a podcast of my own. If it's, continuing that audiobook podcast I started during pandemic or doing an entertainment-based podcast because I love entertainment, doing award show recaps, event reviews, album reviews, like that's totally my vibe and like talking to artists. So if I can kind of do that on my own terms, that would be a lot of fun.
You heard it here first, everyone. Stay tuned. You know, Amanda has some
Yeah.
cool things coming up, so that would be awesome to check out.
Thank you.
Are there any, aside from what you just mentioned, are there any fun projects or collabs that you're excited about that are coming up that you want to share?
Totally. So I did a really cool live performance with our radio station. The actual streaming link to listen to this is not available yet, publicly, but like we had it air live, but we're still waiting to figure out publicly where those sessions will be. But I got to sing three of my original songs that I wrote over the years, and I had a lovely interview with the wonderful Luca Capone, who is also, super knowledgeable about radio and has been doing it for some time. So we had a fun interview chat there. And so just to get to perform, music has been a minute since I put music projects out, but then also to have that fun and informative conversation was great. Also on our station every Monday at 12 p.m. I'm one of the hosts of a show we have called Met 30, where we count down the top albums played at our station and we talk about, some of my favorite songs from those albums. And I talk about some of the local news happening in music. So that's always fun. So that's on Met Radio CJTM, or Met
Yeah,
Radio
I'll link it
1280
down below for
AM.
everybody.
Yeah, that'll be great. Yes, and then yeah, tomorrow I'm doing a album review of Sabrina Carpenter's album on Now with Dave Brown, so that's gonna be fun. And yeah, just hoping to write more music and get myself out there in more ways.
And you will. You definitely will. You already have
Thank
the
you.
amazing energy and just so many cool things.
Yeah, me
Um,
too. Thank you. You have some awesome stuff too going on. Again, I'm so grateful for Jess and Chelsea for connecting us.
yeah, me too.
Hmm.
What is a random fun fact about you, Amanda?
Ooh, okay. I love roller coasters or any thrill rides. I'm your biggest daredevil. Like if you tell me like go on the biggest roller coaster, I will do it, no questions asked.
That's amazing. I don't know if I could do roller coasters as much as I used to anymore, but I mean, there's still some things, some rides that I'm still down to, to go on. Amanda, where can everybody find you and find all the projects that you're going to be working on?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter, Amanda Raya Music, Instagram, Amanda Raya Official. Yeah, I usually post stuff there or, look at the Met Radio's socials as well. There's usually info there. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, everything will be linked down below for everybody. Amanda, I just want to say thank you so much for everything you've said here today. Thank you for taking the time to get on the podcast and share your own journey and experience with everybody. I think it's definitely going to, be a great thing to see you kind of as you continue on your own adventure. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. This was so much fun.
Yeah, it was awesome, even though we had some technical difficulties before we started.
We made it work. We're Aries girls. We're both persistent. We make things work. We don't give up that easily.
That is a very true statement. Well, everyone, that's it for this week's episode. Thank you all so much for joining and listening. And be sure to check out Amanda's links and follow her over on Instagram and Twitter so that you don't miss out on what she's doing. And I'll catch you guys next week. Thanks so much.